Okay, I'm sorry. We're not gonna be making that joke. Nothing good ever comes from that joke, so we're just gonna leave it at that. So we made it. We made it to the end of 2016, and more importantly, of course, I made it to the end of Naruto. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know I started reading Naruto over a year ago, but I didn't actually get around to finishing it until last night. So this review has been a very long time coming, and now that I am finally done one of the most popular and long-running manga series of all time, I'm very happy to finally be bringing you guys my review. So Naruto is a shonen battle manga written and illustrated by Masashi Kishimoto, and it was serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump from 1999 all the way to 2014. That is right, this is the longest manga series I have ever reviewed. And because of that, it's honestly going to be a bit hard to talk about it in certain ways. Especially because my full series reviews are spoiler-free. Because Naruto is a huge series, okay? 72 volumes long, so many things happen. There's a ton of different story arcs, a shitload of characters, and it's really hard to talk about certain things without spoiling the series. That being said, if you still have yet to get into Naruto, I will be as general as possible. So our story begins in the village of Konoha. Now this is one of many shinobi villages. So basically a village with a crap ton of ninjas who can do all sorts of crazy awesome shit. Now one day a spirit known as the Nine-Tails Fox appears, a super powerful, crazy ancient being, and he starts blowing some crap up. Wreaks havoc on the town, a bunch of people die, then eventually the leader Thankfully though, the leader of this village, the Hokage, knows what's up, and he seals away the Nine-Tails Fox into Naruto, who at the time was just a newborn baby. So Naruto grows up, and pretty much everyone hates him because he's holding the spirit of a demon that killed so many of their loved ones. Now Naruto himself obviously wasn't responsible for any of this, but because he gets the blame for it, his life is pretty much miserable. Until he becomes old enough to enter the shinobi school. Now here he learns how to better harness his chakra, which is pretty much the energy of the world, you know, every friggin' shonen series has one of those, and learns how to perform different types of jutsu moves, which are, you know, your crazy ninja powers. Anyway, he is put into a group with two other classmates, Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, and they begin to train under the experienced shinobi Kakashi. Now things are pretty rough at first, but Naruto does eventually befriend Sasuke and Sakura. And we learn that these three kids all have some pretty crazy dreams. Naruto wants to become Hokage. That is like the one thing he wants to do in his life. He wants to become the strongest shinobi in all of Konoha and lead it. Sasuke is a bit different. His dream is to murder his brother Itachi. Why? Because Itachi actually killed Sasuke's entire family. Sasuke is in fact the only survivor of the Uchiha clan, and he wants revenge. As for Sakura's dream, no one cares. See, the thing about Naruto and Sasuke is that they're special. Special in that Naruto has this crazy demon fox trapped inside of him, this insanely powerful beast. And every member of the Uchiha clan, including Sasuke, possesses these crazy ocular jutsu powers. Now these attributes make these two boys very sought after by some pretty sketchy people. Orochimaru, a former Konoha shinobi, is after Sasuke because he wants Sasuke's body. No, not like that. He wants to possess Sasuke, pretty much, and steal his powers for himself so he can do whatever evil things he feels like. And then you have the mysterious and villainous group of the Akatsuki, who are after Naruto for the Nine-Tailed Fox inside of him. What their main goal is? Not gonna say, but, yeah. They aren't gonna go down so easily, let's just say that. But the problems don't end there. You see, Sasuke is really emo. Like, he is super emo, and his lust for revenge on Itachi leads him to some pretty dark places.
Now listen closely. Here's a little lesson in trickery. This is going down in history. If you wanna be a villain #1, you have to chase a superhero on the run.
So now it's up to Naruto and his friends to save Sasuke from himself, while at the same time figuring out what the crap is going on with all these crazy people. In order to do that, Naruto is going to have to train his little butt off and fight as many people as they can possibly fit into 72 volumes of manga. And that is the plot of Naruto, being as general as I possibly can to avoid many spoilers. Because as I said, so many things happen in this story, it's quite crazy. And overall, it was really, really enjoyable. Like, the story here isn't amazing, it's not entirely original, and there are a few flaws that I'll point out, but it's just undeniably fun to read, and I really loved seeing the events of the plot unfold. I love seeing all the backstories we got. The lore in this series is really awesome. I think it's really well done. And there were a lot of really well-handled plot twists that I honestly did not expect. And the weird thing about reading the series was that it didn't feel all that long. Now, as you know, Naruto is split into 2 parts, and each of these parts have a bunch of different story arcs. However, I feel like the story arcs in part 1 are a bit more contained. Sort of like story arcs in One Piece, they have a beginning, middle, and end, and then they move on to something else. With part 2, all of the story arcs sort of seem connected. It just feels a lot more cohesive, like it's one continuing story. And that's not to say like One Piece or anything isn't a continuing story, but you know how like in One Piece they go to a new island, there's a new villain they had to fight, and they spend 10 volumes there, and then they move on to the next thing. With this, it's more like, okay, we have these guys to fight, and we have 50 volumes to do it. The world in this series is actually a lot smaller than you may think. I know I've already talked about One Piece a lot, but I mean, you know, it's kind of hard not to compare the two, at least a little bit. You know, in One Piece, it's a massive world. Like, it is a massive world. They spend so much time world building. With Naruto, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like, you know, everything is just happening in this one small area. While we do learn a lot about this world, we really never have an idea of how big it actually is. And honestly, compared to the size of the series, the world does seem rather small. But I think it works well because despite the length, you can still have a huge cohesive story that ends with all the plot threads tied together. And the plot stays relatively simple, nothing is too hard to comprehend. Especially with all this crazy ninjutsu crap going on. Like, this is one of those series where they explain pretty much everything that happens during a battle. So throughout most of the series, the plot is really enjoyable. It didn't have very many problems. Then we get to the climax. Now, this is the longest climax in any manga I've ever read. It's literally like 10 volumes. It's awesome and it's crazy and it's super fun to read, but it's a bit of a mess. Like, there were a lot of things that happened during this climax that didn't make all that much sense. Stuff that could have been handled a lot better, and some parts where I was just like, really? But you see, I think I benefited from binge reading this series because I went to look up a lot of old reviews that were done by the chapter. You know, a chapter comes out every week. I could not imagine reading Naruto weekly because of how fast-paced it is. Like, one thing would happen and people just complain for a whole week about this, oh, this terrible Naruto chapter. But you see, when you binge reading it and you get to a point that's like, eh, whatever, you can just turn the page and keep reading and more awesome stuff will happen. So I am very glad that I did wait for Naruto to finish before I actually started to read it. Also, the finale is pretty good. It did a really good job, you know, just tying everything together, showing us what happens, and overall I quite enjoyed the plot and the world of Naruto. Now let's talk about the characters, which there are a lot of. I'm obviously not going to be touching on everyone, but I will get the main ones out of the way. First up, you have our main character, Naruto Uzumaki. This kid is crazy. I mean, he's super energetic, he's very persuasive, he's full of positive energy. You just really can't help but like this kid. Now, he definitely isn't the most interesting character in this series, but you know, I really like his personality, I liked his backstory. I like how even though his childhood was just super shitty, he was able to overcome that and make friends, and I love seeing his growth throughout the series. It was really awesome. Next we have Sasuke, his lover. Okay, so Naruto and Sasuke, they're bros, right? Although Naruto is really the only one who seems to think this, because as I mentioned, Sasuke goes to some dark places, he gets pretty pissed off really easily, and he sort of stops really caring about Naruto all that much, but Naruto's like, Sasuke, I'ma find you, I'ma save you, we are best friends. I get it, he wants to save his friend, but honestly, a lot of the motivations for him finding Sasuke, they're a bit extreme. I mean, after so many things happen, Naruto still wants to find Sasuke because they're like BFFs. I'm like, 5 years have passed. why are you still doing this? I mean, this just goes to show how determined, how hopeful Naruto is, but it's still a little weird. But all of that aside, Sasuke is a really interesting character. I really loved his story arc. I loved his backstory. I loved all the crazy crap he goes through. It was really interesting to see. Not a fan of how emo he was, though. Holy crap. Then you have Sakura. I don't even know why I'm talking about Sakura. Okay, so I've heard the memes before about Sakura being useless, and after reading part 1, I was like, you know, she wasn't entirely useless. I don't really understand. But then I got to part 2. Sakura does almost nothing in part 2. She has some scenes, most of which are her failing or being stupid, and whenever she does something sort of useful, it's more just like, hey guys, I'm Sakura, remember me? And usually I wouldn't have a problem with this, because there are a lot of other characters, you know, the same age as Naruto, who went to school with him. A lot of really awesome characters that I really like, who don't get very much screen time, and I don't have a problem with that. The thing about Sakura, though, is that she's pretty much supposed to be a main character. And it doesn't feel like that at all. It really doesn't. It feels like she's just a minor character like all the others. I have no idea why she's on all the box sets and a bunch of volume covers. She honestly adds very little to this series. Which is a shame because, you know, I initially thought she had a pretty cool character, but by the end I'm like, yeah, I don't give a crap. Get out of here, Sakura. You're just gonna ruin everything. Now, my favorite character was their teacher, Kakashi. This guy made a really awesome, strong first impression. He could be really funny, but also really serious. Like, this guy was a great teacher, and his backstory is crazy. Not gonna get into spoilers, but his backstory plays a really big role in the series. And I was really happy to see how all this crap went down. Now, I don't have time to talk about much of the other characters, but you know, you had some great standout ones. You had Jiraiya, who is another shinobi from Konoha, who eventually replaces Kakashi as Naruto's teacher and teaches him all this crazy new jutsu moves. He was a really great character. He was really funny. He writes these erotic ninja novels, and I mean, as stupid as they were, I freaking love those scenes. We also had some pretty interesting villains. The problem with talking about the villains, though, is that most of them are all spoilers. Like, the only villain I feel safe about talking about is Orochimaru, who, he's an alright villain. He never left a super big impact on me, but you know, he did the job. It's more so the villains that come in later that are notable, most of which I cannot talk about at all, but I will say their motivations made a lot of sense, and it was really interesting learning more about these people. So how about that artwork? Yo, this artwork is... it's pretty sexy. So Kishimoto has said that his work was greatly inspired by the work of Akira Toriyama, which makes a lot of sense because it's clear this manga did take a lot of inspiration from Dragon Ball without, you know, ripping it off. And you can really see that through the art. It's not a copy of Toriyama's work by any stretch of the means. It's definitely its own art, and it's very iconic. But you know, you can see where he got some of his ideas from, and the artwork here looks friggin' amazing. It's not the best art I've ever seen, but I don't think Kishimoto was trying to make that. He was just trying to make everything look really awesome fight scenes. Like, the fight scenes here are so much fun to read. Even when you're a bit confused with all the crazy ninjutsu going on, like, everything just looks so awesome you don't even care. The character designs are awesome. They are super badass. The backgrounds are extremely detailed, very well drawn, and the art just stays consistently good throughout 72 volumes. And I talk about this a lot, but I have so much respect for mangaka, especially ones who draw weekly series, and especially when the art is this good. Because you have to think about this. This series ran for 15 years, which means almost every single week for 15 years, Kishimoto and his group of assistants had to make one of these chapters. And because Naruto was so popular, this guy was a lot more busy, because he was probably doing like extra color pages and all this crazy stuff Jump wanted him to do. And it's just crazy how he could do this. Like, he never went on any long hiatuses. And you know, for the most part, everything just stayed consistent. Like, the story and the characters and the art, just everything stayed consistent. Yeah, I think this guy's an awesome artist, and I'm really looking forward to his next work. And that about does it for my Naruto review. So yeah, that was the longest series I ever reviewed. Pretty crazy, and it was pretty crazy reading it. Naruto just has such a legacy now, one of the most popular manga ever written. Now, as for my final verdict, Naruto is no masterpiece. Although I can easily recommend it. If you get into Naruto, you are in for an awesome time. You're gonna get a simple but really interesting story with a lot of great characters with really interesting backstories, and some awesome artwork to go along with it. The story admittedly has a few low points, but if you just keep reading, you'll probably realize that you're having too much fun to care. And with that, I'm going to give Naruto my final score of 4 ninjas out of 5. The length is a bit scary, and it's not the best manga you will ever read, but if you are looking for a really fun shonen battle manga, then Naruto is well worth checking out. And if you do want to check out Naruto, all 72 volumes are of course in print and available from Viz Media. Buying 72 individual volumes though is a bit crazy. Viz is releasing 3-in-1s, there's a lot of them out now. I'm not quite sure how much of the series they have out in 3-in-1s. If you know me, you know I hate these 3-in-1s. The paper quality is really bad, and I really don't think they're worth your money. What is worth your money though is the 3 box sets. There are 3 box sets that complete the Naruto series. They are of extremely good value. They come with, you know, a bunch of bonus stuff and posters, and that is in my opinion the best way to physically own Naruto. And then we have the anime, well rather both anime series, because part 1 and part 2 got different anime series. Now I have not seen these, so I'm probably not the best person to ask, but honestly I'm not going near that series. But I'm sure if the canon parts of the anime stay faithful to the manga, then it's a very enjoyable watch if you don't mind giving up hours and hours of your life. And it's Naruto, you know the drill, they got friggin' million movies and video games. And that about does it. Seems kinda weird to finally get all my thoughts out on this series that, you know, I've just had for such a long time. But nevertheless, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this review. So with that, Merry Christmas. I mean, Happy Holidays. Happy Holidays. And I will see you guys in my next full series review for Claymore. Look at the sloths, look how they shine for you, and all the things you do.